Fox Sports.
We are Black. We are Florida.
Atlanta, a little traffic coming to the ballpark. Marlins and Braves. Turner Field, 4 games, and it starts tonight. Clouds around. There was a little bit of rain, but the tarp is off. The game is on, and both these teams anxious to get this series underway. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Welcome to Atlanta. First of 4. Marlins just happy to get out of the way of the charging Mets, and they meet a team here in Atlanta that's very similar to them.
Rich, I think one of the things, and you and I both heard it, a lot of talk around the batting cage, to try to continue what the Marlins did last night in that 9th inning.
Yeah, the 9th inning was certainly the highlight for the Fish for that entire series. The bats were quiet until the 9th.
Boy, they sure were, and it got started by Derek Dietrich, who ended up with 2 hits in the inning. Believe it or not, it's the second time this year he's had 2 hits in 1 inning. The bases were cleared by a Miguel Rojas double. There were infield base hits. Justin Bour had himself a nice double and an RBI. So things were really clicking in that 9th inning. And the Marlins were able to make Terry Collins go to his bullpen and bring in his closer, Juris Familia. So you want that to carry over. Certainly offense is hoping for that tonight.
Also around the batting cage, talk of, hey, no more moral victories. They need some wins, and the Marlins will go after this win with Jose Urena on the mound. Urena, part of a group that's, I don't want to say auditioning, but trying to stick in the starting rotation.
Urena will always remember Turner Field. It was back on April 14th. He made his Major League debut, just pitching 1 inning, came out of the bullpen. And you look at his numbers at New Orleans, he had a stretch in June where he put together 4 consecutive starts with the Marlins, 6 innings or more, and he threw the ball well.
For the Braves, this year is a lot about the next couple of years. And this guy, I think you're going to see for a while. He came over from the Padres, Matt Whistler.
Well, Whistler's 22, Urena's 23. Whistler's been fantastic at home, 3-0 and a 2.33 ERA at Turner Field.
The rain here in Georgia has stopped. The Fish trying to work off of last night's finish and score some runs early and get this series off to a good start. It's Miami and Atlanta. as we opened our big mouths and said the rain was gone. It's back, starting to sprinkle, but it looks like the game will start on time. Let's check in on Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey guys, well, you take a look at that series finale last night against the Mets, and it did not look promising for the Marlins late in the game. They headed into the bottom of the ninth inning, trailing New York 8-0, but luckily they were able to find some offense. They racked up 7 hits and scored 6 runs. Now, unfortunately, it was not enough to win the game, but it did give the Fish a much-needed boost of momentum heading into this series against the Braves.
Taking that momentum from the ninth inning and hopefully, bringing it here to Atlanta and starting off this 4-day road trip on the right note would be nice. So, we played baseball the right way there in the ninth. All throughout that lineup, getting the job done any way we could and moving it, 1 through 9, and hopefully we can continue to do that today.
We show some fight, and maybe a little too late, but I feel this thing got a lot of things to do, and I feel if we can do that thing we did in the last couple innings, we show some fight. We know we're facing great pitching, but we're not going to stop doing it.
So it's just good to see that fight, we easily could just catch it in 1, 2, 3 there, but, we were able to string 5 runs, 6 runs really quick, and got us right back in the game there. So that was just good to see.
And Turner Field was kind to the Marlins the last time around. They took 2 of 3 against the Braves, guys. They outscored Atlanta 16-7. Hopefully they can have that same success here in this series.
And Jess, remind me, last time we were here, you did not have that umbrella, but it also rained, right?
Yes, it did. That was the first time that I got rained on at a visiting ballpark. Luckily, you learn from your mistakes and you get better. Now I have the umbrella. Hopefully I get better.
All right, it's raining, but you know what? Baseball is right around the bend. The Marlins and the Braves from Atlanta. First of 4, first pitch, lineups, all of that right around the bend. Drizzly night here in the South. Matt Whistler. First pitch fastball is up, and this ball game is underway. It's brought to you by Pinch a Penny. That pitch was. D. Gordon in the box. Derek Dietrich, Christian Yelich to follow for the Marlins. Smacked into right center field. Not only a base hit, but in the gap, and Gordon's around first. Quickly is into second with a leadoff double. 17th double for D. Gordon. He finished with a flourish with an RBI hit late last night. JM Lexus brings you Miami's lineup. D. Gordon has seen one pitch. Derek Dietrich coming to the plate now. Christian Yelich in center. Justin Bour hitting cleanup. Our team proud of the former Brave returns to Atlanta. Ichiro in right. Danny Echeverria hits well in this ballpark. Jeff Mathis, another start behind the plate. Jose Urena will hit ninth. And here is Dietrich. You just heard from Derek Dietrich talking about carrying over some of the momentum. Dietrich had plenty of momentum himself. He had a couple of hits in that ninth inning. He's got Gordon at second. Whistler's 1-0.
Not too many guys, Rich, get a couple of hits in an inning. Dietrich's done it twice this year. Let's look at Matt Whistler, 22-year-old right-hander. This year in AAA, had 12 starts. He was 3-4 there. But the Braves have been impressed with the way he's thrown here.
Especially here, as in Turner Field. 3 appearances. He's 3-0 with a 2.33 ERA. Dietrich with a count at 3-0. Dietrich coming back to the town in which he played college baseball for Georgia Tech.
Just up the road.
D. Gordon's at second. Leadoff double. And a strike. And Dietrich right now is pointing. He thought the pitch was low. Bob Davidson is the home plate umpire. A.J. Pierzynski is out to talk to the pitcher, Matt Whistler. Here's a look. You know what? Pierzynski boxed it, and that brought Dietrich's reaction, but it was at the knees.
It did just catch that corner at the low point of the strike zone.
So here comes a 3-1. Dietrich hits it well, but foul.
I think a key, Rich, for Whistler is to try to come back from his last outing. Last outing, not a good one for Matt Whistler. It was in Philadelphia. 12-2 loss. Gave up 8 hits and 7 runs in 4 2/3.
2 of those 8 hits were home runs. It's a guy that has a wide variety of pitches, command on all of them. And he misses up with a live 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
Well, since this is his first appearance against the Marlins, we'll take a look at the scouting report on Whistler. Heavy sinker when he gets the ball down. He has a go-to slider. If that's working, it's a lights-out pitch for him, and he came over in the Craig Kimbrell deal.
One of many pieces that changed hands in that April 4th trade right before the Braves opened the season in Miami against the Marlins. Now Yelich. He takes a breaking ball in. Christian Yelich saw Derek Dietrich get a couple hits in front of him in the 9th inning yesterday. Yelich not so fortunate. Was 0 for the inning with a couple of ABs, but had a nice series against the Mets. Has continued to spray line drives with a lot of consistency. It's almost been a 2-month window now for Yelich. Let's see what he did on the homestand.
It's hard to believe, Rich, that Yelich has hit, and we talked about it at home, is it over 300 at Marlins Park, but just 229 on the road. So you would expect he would turn that around and start picking things up away from Miami.
Gordon at second, Dietrich at first. Runners start, and Dietrich had the pressure on him. Gordon started, then stopped. Dietrich is watching Gordon. As soon as he starts, Dietrich started. So it's kind of a chain reaction.
Good job, though, by Dietrich.
Nice job in the truck. Nice overhead look. 2-1 pitch coming to Yelich. And Yelich lines it into center field. That's a base hit. Gordon round third. He's going to score. Dietrich stops at second. And Miami picks up where they left off last night. We opened the show talking about the 9th inning. The Marlins didn't win the ball game, but you're trying to get steps towards some momentum And offensively, it looks like the Fish are still hitting in the ninth.
Well, yeah, we talked about some of those good at-bats last night in that ninth inning. And the good approach. And we've seen that carryover. Good approach here by all three hitters. D. Gordon, Dietrich with the walk, and a good stroke by Christian Yelich. So far, no first pitch strikes from Whistler, and he's the type of pitcher that has to do that.
Justin Bour in the cleanup spot tonight.
Most pitchers should do it, but some can get away with it and others can't. There's his first one.
Starts with a breaking ball and gets a strike. Bour without the batting gloves. It's a high fly ball to right. Dietrich tags. Markakis is there, has it. Dietrich is going to try it. The throw is not in time. Good hustle by Dietrich. Yelich had to stick at first. Marlins run on Markakis, and they do it successfully.
All right, the defense brought to you by BMW. Eury Perez, Cameron Maben, familiar in center. Markakis. How about 8 different players have started at third base for the Braves this year? Adonis Garcia in there tonight. Daniel Castro, Jace Peterson, Joey Turdoslavich, and A.J. Pierzynski behind the plate. The Braves have a couple of veterans, Rich. So many guys have been in and out, but between Pierzynski and Johnny Gomes, a couple of veterans who stay on top of things.
Well, and guys like Markakis and Freddie Freeman, who are about the same timeline as experience. Prado spins out of the way of a fastball, and it's 1-0.
Martin Prado will be the first to tell you this ballpark is where he grew up. 2006 through 2012, an Atlanta Brave.
Prado hits that one in the air to left center field. That should be deep enough to score. Dietrich. Yelich is tagging as well, and he'll test the throw. Scoring is Dietrich. Yelich retreats to first, and Miami has put 2 runs on the board here in the first.
Well, just a nice job. Anytime you see those runs, see a runner going over to third on a deep fly ball, the ball that Bour hit, then Martin Prado got the fly ball deep enough to bring home Dietrich.
And of course, you go back to Dietrich testing Markakis' arm and getting from second to third that sets that sac fly up. Here's Ichiro, and Yelich might not be at first that long. Whistler knows that. Throw over to first. Marlins have a roster right now that's without, obviously, a couple of their big guns, and Giancarlo Stanton and Marcelo Zuna. And some other spots thinned by trades. And the Braves are in a very similar situation. We talked about the Freeman injury. Jason Grilli, their closer, is down with an Achilles. He's out for the year. And then, of course, a lot of trades. Counts 0-2. Most of the return that the Braves got in those trades, whether it was with the Mets or the Dodgers, were young players who have kind of filled out their minor league system. Freddie Gonzalez just got a contract extension. Freddie, of course, a nice run as the Marlins manager. 2009, 87 wins for the Fish. 84 wins in 08. Yelich is running. Fastball's up. Pierzynski's throw is high, and he's in there. Good jump by Yelich. And Christian Yelich keeps adding to that stolen base total. That's a dozen now.
Well, and a dozen, but a really good percentage. He's stolen 12 He's only been caught twice. Pretty good pitch for Pierzynski to throw on, a fastball up. But his throw sailed upward, and Yelich in under the tag.
Ichiro. Peterson gets it on a hop and throws him out at first. But Miami puts 2 on the board in the first. A 2-0 lead in Atlanta. Florida is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By Hialeah Park Racing and Casino. More information on our 2-year anniversary on August 14th and 15th. Go to HialeahParkCasino.com. And by Auto Nation. Save on over 70,000 vehicles now. Visit us online at AutoNation.com. It's one of the very cool places to go in Atlanta. Giant aquarium right downtown. Whale sharks right above. And Jose Urena on the mounds.
Well, we talked about it back on April 14th. He came in for an inning out of the bullpen. The Marlins won that game 8-2 and made his major league debut. Pitched a nice inning against Atlanta. So making his 9th start. A work in progress. Continues to work on keeping the ball down. Working on his command, working on the slider, which is his 3rd best pitch. And he spotted with a 2-run lead.
He has kind of a loose, funky delivery. Jace Peterson, Yuri Perez, and Nick Markakis. Not a strikeout guy. He pitches to contact. Hitters hitting .288 against him. And he has something already tonight that he's not had all year, and that's some run support. Smacked in the gap, right center field. That's trouble. Peterson can run on his way to 3rd and then pulls up. Well, I thought for sure he was headed to 3rd base. He was after 2nd and then suddenly stopped.
Yeah, I'm not so sure Bo Porter, his 3rd base coach, is pleased with his decision, because you're right. I thought he was headed to 3rd as well. Once this ball gets into the gap and goes to the wall, chased down well by Ichiro. He gets to it in a hurry, cuts it off just before it gets to the wall. And you're right, Peterson runs well. The 5-game hitting streak, he's 9 for his last 18. He's been hot.
You know, he pulled up, and you could see in that shot, limped a little bit and was favoring, it looked like, a right leg. Now Yuri Perez, the 25-year-old Dominican, shortening the bunt. Waiver claim from the Yankees. And in left field for the Braves. Push bunt. Urena does a nice job to get there and flip to first. So the double by Peterson, a sacrifice bunt by Perez. Nick Markakis up now, so is the Braves lineup, brought to you by JM Lexus. Markakis hot, a 12-game hit streak. He's been hot. So is A.J. Pierzynski right behind him, who has been really good since 1st of July. Cameron Maybin in center. Joey Tardoslavich is at first. Adonis Garcia at third. Daniel Castro will play shortstop. Matt Whistler is in the 9 spot.
Yeah, these two guys back-to-back between Markakis and Pierzynski, both with hitting streaks. Markakis at 12, Pierzynski at 10. Something going on here.
Yeah, Dan Jennings out of the Marlins dugout, and he and Bob Davidson having a discussion. And I'm not sure what this is about.
They're kind of looking out toward the outfield. And looking at second base umpire Hunter Wendelstedt coming in.
Not sure what it might be. But Davidson comes back behind home plate. Huh. Well, right now, the umpires, as far as the shift, you've got a second base umpire who's, I've never seen this before.
I never have either.
Who is playing or positioned almost as the third base umpire would be.
The umpires are into sabermetrics right now. Look at where Hunter Wendelstedt is. He's the second base umpire. And he's very close to Marvin Hudson, the third base umpire. Never seen this before.
That one flipped down the line. Dietrich is over. He's there. Runner tags. And Peterson is on his way home. And the Braves have a run. Crowd acknowledges that.
You know, as we get ready to give you the defense, we may want to give you the alignment of Hunter Wendelstedt, the umpire at second base as well. But here's a look at the Marlins defensively. In the outfield, you saw Dietrich with the catch, Yelich and Ichiro. 42 consecutive games without an error for Danny Echeverria. D. Gordon has been solid. Prado and Bohr at the corners. And Jeff Mathis behind the plate once again.
Here is Pierzynski.
So Wendelstedt not as far over.
But he still is over.
Well, this might be a lot of times an umpire not this far over.
Crushed to right over the head of Ichiro. Off the base of the wall. Pierzynski around first. On his way to second. Ichiro's throw comes in late. And A.J. Pierzynski, who is just tearing it up right now. Last 25 games, his average is over 375.
An 11-game hitting streak for the veteran backstop, A.J. Pierzynski. Pierzynski now 38 years old in his 16th Major League season. Look at the Cameron Maybin look with the socks he's given us tonight.
That's high stirrups. Got the red and blue Nikes going. Two outs. Maybin swings and misses. Some guys go old school with the low socks and high pants. He's gone high pants and high socks.
Done a nice job for the Braves, especially in these situations.
Maybin lines it into center field. That's a base hit. Yelich has it. Pierzynski will score. And Cameron Maybin ties this game. And two teams that have struggled to score this year have both put two up in the first inning.
Just about to say 378 before that swing with runners in scoring position for Maybin. You brought it up, Rich, with Jose Urena. Not a lot of swings and misses. And a lot of good contact from the Braves here in the first inning.
Fewest runs scored in the National League. The Marlins in the basement, along with the Phillies and the Braves. And look at the Mets. So 4 teams out of the East are the most offensively challenged teams right now in the National League.
We're also told, Rich, so far, Cameron Maybin hitting 1,000 with the high stirrups.
Now he can run too. Tardoslavich fouls it back.
These bottom 3 hitters, before you get to Whistler, the pitcher, but he also was in AAA. But Tardoslavich, Garcia, and Castro all spent time together as teammates in Gwinnett, which is their AAA affiliate.
Ball and a strike, couple outs, 2 runs across. Miami got 2 in the top of the inning. The Braves have answered with 2 of their own. Breaking ball from Urena and a high pop-up behind the mound. Prado calls, Echeverria calls him off and makes the play. But the Braves strike back. After 1, it's 2-2. Corona Light Marlins watch party on Friday the 7th. Hey, that's coming up. Hut, that's tomorrow night, and it's 7:30. Win tickets to upcoming games, raffle prizes, meet Billy and the Energy Team, enjoy Corona Light specials throughout the game. For more info, go to marlins.com. So tomorrow night, Marlins watch party. Danny Echeverria against Matt Whistler. The rain has started again back here in Atlanta. Jeff Mathis, Jose Urena to follow. From what we could discern between innings, continued discussion between Bob Davidson and the Marlins bench, Dan Jennings in particular. The Marlins were concerned about Eury Perez stepping out of the box when he had that sacrifice bunt. Remember, he pushed it down the first base side.
So the shifting of Hunter Wendelstedt maybe had nothing to do with that. One of the other speculations on that is that maybe in center field, maybe Yelich was having a little trouble seeing the plate. You want to have good focus there. Let's see if he. That's close, but he's in there. So Christian Yelich, maybe when he was in center field, was having trouble seeing to the plate. And maybe to over-exaggerate it, Wendelstedt shifted as far as he did.
Yeah, he was on the third base side of the shortstop. 3-2 pitch to Echeverria. Fastball, lines it right field corner. Long run there, and a catch on the move by Nick Markakis. An out here in the second. And brings up Jeff Mathis.
Well, there's no question, Rich, this series puts a couple of struggling teams together. The Braves have lost 11 of 14, and the Marlins are 5-14 since the All-Star break. Believe it or not, at one time the Braves were 42-42. They had gotten to 500.
Jeff Mathis getting a start yesterday, walked a couple of times, had a great at bat in the ninth inning, which resulted in a walk. Behind the count, 0-2. President of Baseball Operations John Hart, the architect of this remodel for the Braves this year. Swing and a miss. Down goes Mathis. Whistler settles into this second inning.
That's that pitch, if he gets ahead, you don't want him to see all of a sudden get command of that good breaking ball. Kind of an in-between. Has a lot of break to it, but I'd say probably more of a slider than a curveball.
Here's Urania. Has a hit, but is punched out 9 times. Sprays it out towards second. Peterson gathers and gets the out. And Whistler, after giving up 2 in the first, works quickly through the second. Baseball coming up on Fox Sports 1. Dodgers and Pirates. That's a key game for both teams. And at 7 Eastern, National League Central leading Cardinals take on the Brewers. You can only see the games on Fox Sports 1. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern only on Fox Sports 1. Streams live on Fox Sports Go. 2-2 Marlins Braves. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Is Derek Dietrich starting again in left field, and he only has a handful of starts at that position. I talked to him about making that transition, and he said the most difficult part is fielding a ball that you can't really prepare for in practice. He has been working with Brett Butler every day. He says he's been trying to think along with hitters and the counts so that he can be one step ahead, but you're always going to have those situations come up that you cannot prepare for. And guys, for Dietrich, that's been the toughest part about playing that position.
There's nothing like experience, Jess, and Hut, you were a guy that was an infielder that found yourself out in the outfield. How long did it take you to be comfortable?
Yeah, it takes a while because, first of all, you're being used to being at first base, all of a sudden you're further away. And just learning angles, following the center fielder, following if he moves over into the gap, you might move a little bit. If he moves into right center, you move a little bit. That's one of the things Dietrich told me he's been trying to do, aside from the help from Brett Butler on the bench, watching Christian Yelich in center field.
Adonis Garcia. It's quite a name. Chopper to short. Echeverria has to hurry, and he does with a whip throw that gets him by a step. And so an out here in the seconds.
Usually in a series against Atlanta, we're treated to the two great shortstops, Danny Echeverria and Andrelton Simmons. Simmons has been out 3 or 4 games with a bruised right thumb. But we'll enjoy Edge.
Daniel Castro is standing in for Simmons. And he takes a fastball up. Youngster out of Mexico, 22 years old. Off of Urena, who goes down and is in a lot of pain. And you could hear that. And Urena still down. It's going to be a base hit. And the noise that you heard, just an awful sound.
Boy, and just watching him on the ground tells a little bit of a story as well. They're looking at the knee area.
It's Mike Kozak, one of the Marlins trainers.
You know what? Every ball club with a couple of trainers. Marlins are blessed with a couple of really good guys. Good trainers. 3 trainers. 3 trainers. Dustin, Cozy, Sean Cunningham. It's on that knee of the back leg.
Urena is up right now, testing it.
You know, right now, just by his actions, you like what he's doing. He doesn't want to come out of the game.
No, and as a trainer or a manager, the thing you have to gauge is the injury, even if he says he can pitch, severe enough that it will change his motion?
Well, and the other thing, Rich, the last 3 games, the Marlins haven't had a starter go 5 innings. David Phelps went 4 1/3. Brad Hand the other night 4 innings, and Tom Kohler 4 1/3 in that series against the Mets. So the bullpen is thin. Chris Narveson did a great job last night helping out.
We watched it in slow motion. Obviously, Urena had it coming at him full speed, probably harder than it went in towards the plate.
Yeah, that left knee.
Man, you can see the discussion between Mike Kozak and Dan Jennings. They've got to decide, has his motion been compromised here? I mean, he can still throw, but once you change something mechanically, then you're opening a real Pandora's box in terms of injury.
And for any pitcher, especially a 23-year-old pitcher, you just don't want that to happen.
Chuck Hernandez also on the scene.
Well, and the other thing, too, when you get hit that sharply, without the benefit of getting some ice on it right away, you know that thing's going to swell up.
Super slow motion on this. And so here is Whistler. Here's the other thing, because there's a runner at first and only one out, and you've got the pitcher up, Urena may be tested here to field a bunt.
Well, you know that's what Whistler's going to be doing.
Castro the runner at first, and he is squaring. There's the bunt. Bohr fields and gets the out. And Urena looked okay coming off the mound.
Yeah, it was good communication. He was called off immediately. You could hear Justin Bohr at first base calling him off. You can still see, though, a little ginger limp out there as he walks around the mound.
I think you're right, Tommy. I think the real test is going to be going into the dugout and sitting down and watching for 10, 12 minutes and then trying to get back out there. Jace Peterson now. The Braves struck for 2 in the first, and Peterson started it with a liner into right center. That was a double. Changeup with a little run on it. Caught the outside part of the plate.
This was a nice move for the Braves, acquiring Peterson in that Justin Upton deal. He's been very solid at second base and highly thought of coming up in the Padres organization.
It's funny because there's a lot of ex-Padre prospects who are now playing here with the Braves. Whistler's starting, Peterson's at second. And yet you've got to figure out which Upton trade were they involved in. The Justin Upton trade was over the offseason, but right before opening day was the Kimbrel trade, and Melvin Upton was a throw-in along with his salary. There's a liner into center field, and that's a base hit. Yelich picks it up, and the Braves, another 2-out run.
Well, a 2-for-2 night already for Jace Peterson, who, by the way, earlier in the year hit his first Major League home run against Matt Latos and the Marlins. Urena ducking that time. You could even say, because he probably still was a prospect at the time, Cameron Maybin when he was a Padre. Of course, he came up with Detroit, then Marlins.
Well, the Braves actually, as you see Perez standing in, the Braves are taking Maybin. Now, Maybin had some money on a contract that was owed. And remember, the Braves also took Carlos Quentin and his money, which I believe was between $8 and $10 million, and immediately released him. That didn't quite add up to what Melvin Upton is due, but it did offset some of the expenses that the Padres incurred in taking Melvin Upton with Kimbrel.
Similar to what the Dodgers did with Michael Morse, and then Morse going on to Pittsburgh.
Perez had that sacrifice that brought some concern out of Miami's dugout, that he was out of the box, up at the top of the box. You really don't see that. Oftentimes when someone is out of the box, it's stepping across the box towards first. He was actually running out of the top of the box. That left foot was out across that top line. And right now, Urena falls behind, and it's 2-1. Five hits. Braves have done a nice job moving runners, 2 sacrifice bunts, and a sacrifice fly. Who sang that song, A Rainy Night in Georgia? Brooke Benton. Thank you, Truck.
I almost had it.
It's kind of that way. Clouds are moving in and out. Drizzle for 15 minutes.
I think you have to, as a player, you have to just realize, okay, that's the way it's going to be tonight. You can't let the weather, the rain, the in and out rain, you can't let it affect you.
Of course, this is only home of the Braves for another season and a half. And then SunTrust Park scheduled to open 2017. That's in, and it hit him on the hand. Bob Davidson making the call. Perez on his way to first. At least I think he is. He hasn't started that way yet.
Well, it's been a rough start for Jose Urena. And this is where you start thinking about, all right, is that left knee, is that left leg, the land leg, is that affecting him with his pitches?
The Marlins right now, you know, Dan Jennings is coming out. You can challenge hit by pitch on replay, and the Marlins can look to see if it hit the bat or the hand. The other issue here is Urena. If the Marlins feel that Urena's knee is bothering him, they can replace him without warming a pitcher up. And the Marlins have looked at it and feel it did hit him in the hand or the wrist.
Well, remember, the Marlins lost an early challenge in the ballgame last night, the first inning.
You saw in that review it was Brett Butler who went to the phone. The Marlins have been playing without their bench coach Mike Goff now for some time. He was out for the homestand. Hopeful that he returns in a couple of days. Had a family emergency. So we hope all is well with him. And so Brett Butler kind of serving as the de facto bench coach. Markakis. Nick Markakis fouls it off. Should the Braves be concerned that Nick Markakis has hit just 2 home runs this year?
Well, his totals had been coming down with the Orioles. I don't know if it would be a concern. Certainly Camden Yards a better home run hitter's park than here.
Well, we went through.
I would be more concerned with just 36 RBIs.
We went
production.
We went through not only Camden Yards but all the great home run hitter parks for left-handed bats in the American League East. Some good ones. Yankee Stadium, Camden Yards, Toronto.
Now remember, too, he had neck surgery in the offseason.
Here's the 1-1. Sends that one in the gap, left center field. That's trouble. It's by Yelich. It goes to the wall. Peterson scores. Perez will score. And right now the Braves are pounding Jose Urena. It's 5-2. There's some RBIs for you. He's got 3 of them tonight. 39 now on the season.
Wow, that's just terrific hitting, and it's something that Nick Markakis has always done, and that is drive the ball into the gaps and hit doubles. 13-game hitting streak now for Markakis. He's had 40 or more doubles 4 different times in his career. And that double for Markakis, number 25 this year.
He's always been a great on-base guy. His career on base is up around 360. And he's over 370 this year. Adam Conley trying to get loose.
Well, once again, you just cannot perform at this level with starters not going more than 4 or 5 innings.
Pierzynski's red hot, banged one off the wall for a double in the first. And for whatever reason, the success that Jose Urena has had in the minor leagues, especially at the AAA level, he's not been able to translate that at the major league level. And he was asked about that. He himself frustrated, and he said, look, it's just about making pitches, hitting spots, executing pitches.
Talked to Jeff Mathis a little bit about it, and so much of it in Ureña's case is command, because he doesn't have that overpowering stuff. He's got to hit spots.
Well, the Marlins are walking one really hot hitter to face Maben. As you pointed out, he's been one of the Braves' best with runners in scoring position. In fact, he had an RBI single back in the first inning. You know, the amazing thing is Ureña's thrown only 36 pitches.
Well, if
it feels like he's thrown 72 pitches.
If you're a lineup, and this seems to be the scouting report and the attack on Ureña is to be aggressive because he's in the strike zone, because they're not quality strikes to this point. And the Braves have been that.
Rain continues at a drizzle here in Atlanta. Maben with the high stirrups. Last guy to wear high stirrups on a consistent basis in baseball with the really high pants like this. And this was the bomb back in the 70s, right? Just about everyone had the high stirrups.
To the point when you were a kid, you'd have your mom cut the stirrup sock, put elastic on it so you could stretch it up even higher.
Unless you were a Cincinnati Red.
Then it was a no-no.
And Bob Hausum said no mustaches, no high socks. To right. Ichiro makes the catch. But the Braves strike for 3 more. And so far, a tough night for Jose Urena. Jennings, Chuck Hernandez, Sean Cunningham, Mike Kozak, 2 trainers. Tomas Talis in the middle of it as well. Frank Menachino getting in to take a peek. And so the Marlins, who had a 2-0 lead and were off to such a promising start, are down 5-2. Atlanta up 3rd inning. D. Gordon opened the game with a loud double in the gap. Whistler saves a hit, no doubt. And gets up and robs Gordon.
Well, all of a sudden, Whistler now has retired 5 in a row after troubles in the 1st inning. Helping himself here. Gets over his head. It's a base hit. But Whistler helps his own cause.
Now Dietrich, who walked back in the 1st. A Yelich RBI single, a Prado sacrifice fly. And brought in the first 2 runs. But it's been all Braves since then. And concern certainly for the Marlins because, as Tommy pointed out, the bullpen's been taxed. Short starts. David Phelps 4 1/3 last night. Brad Hand 4 innings. Tom Kohler 4 1/3.
And it appears, Rich, that Adam Conley is getting ready in the bullpen, so that answers a question that probably going to be tough for Urania to go back out there, and he's probably done.
Dietrich high right field. Markakis back at the track, looking up, and it's gone. And Derek Dietrich has hit his 7th home run of the season. For the 6th time, it's a solo shot. And the former Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket comes home, back to Atlanta, and blasts one to right.
Right, a couple of things about that home run, too. It's that type of night where you get the twilight, you lose balls, and I'm not sure Markakis picked that up right away, and once he turned to try to pick it up again, he may have lost it, but it didn't matter. Power in that swing from Derek Dietrich, who has just done a nice job all around.
So a 5-3 ball game. Yelich takes the strike. Christian Yelich, a line drive hit. Knocked in a run, stole a base as well. One and two. Not a full schedule in baseball. And a lot of games this afternoon, including the Nationals getting some revenge and beating Arizona after Arizona beat them up pretty good last night. The Mets are not playing. They're probably sitting around the veranda at the Vinoy.
Maybe on one of those nice relax chairs out on that veranda.
Yeah. Mets have an off night. They've got the Rays tomorrow night, but the Nationals winners, so they beat Arizona 8-3. The Padres wild card hopes took a couple of hits in Milwaukee. They lost 10-1 to the Brewers today. How about Zach Greinke today, Hut? 2-2 pitch. Yelich shoots it left field. That's in for a hit.
How about Christian Yelich tonight?
Yeah, 2 for 2.
I know he didn't pitch well, but I think he hit all right.
No, he didn't pitch well, but he won the ball game 10-8. The Dodgers beat the Phillies. Greinke allowed 5 runs in the first inning, but then he homered and he had a great bat flip. I don't know if you saw that. I don't think he can ever get.
Pitcher can't have a bat flip.
I don't think he can ever take umbrage in anyone that homers off him and flips the bat, because he had a nice bat flip himself.
Amongst active pitchers, Zach Greinke has the 4th highest OPS. He can hit, and remember, he spent time in Kansas City, the American League, so didn't get a lot of opportunities there.
He was 3 for 3.
I tell you, Justin Bour looks like he's had a good approach. He just missed a pitch in the first inning, hit a high fly ball to right, but he looks like he sees Whistler very well.
What was the term today? You're talking about seeing a pitcher well.
You pick him up.
No, is it
pick up the release point?
It was a tweet from John Baker, so the language was a lot more flowery than that. Let me find it. But he was talking about changeups and why changeups are so good. And if I can find the term, I'll get it for you. But Bake has actually turned into quite the
yes, he has.
Social media guy and author. And there's Bour punching it into right field. Yelich isn't stopping, shifts it into gear, and arrives at third base. And the Marlins have had some really good swings here in the third inning against Matt Whistler. Time to tweet your strongest fan photo. Hashtag at FL Data Strong Fan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming telecast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile.
Yep. Martin Prado stepping in. Second time, man on third, less than 2 out. First time, Prado was able to get the job done with a sacrifice fly to left field.
The term that John Baker used about a pitcher and a hitter who doesn't see the ball well is vision disruption. He said it's a very important aspect of pitching. He was talking about the changeup, Trevor Hoffman's changeup, and Greinke's. That's a guy that we have to, somewhere along the road we're going to run into John Baker. We've got to have him on for 2 or 3 innings.
Absolutely.
Just to talk the game, Marlins history, his experiences as a Marlin. Two-0 pitch. Prado hits that one in the air to center. Maben goes back, and Prado is going to deliver another run with another sacrifice fly. Yelich comes racing home, and he scores. And so Prado, 2 sac flies. Miami chipping back away at the Braves' lead, and it's 5-4.
The other thing to think about in these 2 runs, you mentioned Dietrich going first to third on the base hit by Yelich in the first inning, and Yelich with some good base running going first to third on Bour's base hit. So those 2 base running opportunities set the stage for Martin Prado to get the sac flies.
Now Ichiro. Who are the best teams in baseball at going first to third? I know the Rays have always put the importance on that. Oakland.
I think the Cardinals do a good job.
Kansas City with the speed that they have.
Yes.
Ichiro over the mound and into center field. And the Marlins with their 4th hit of the inning. There's 2 outs. And here comes Echeverria.
And Ichiro with hit number 2,906. So just keeps slowly moving on up.
Echeverria flied out back in the 2nd. There is so much more value right now on going first to third, on being able to steal a bag, on having speed.
And that doesn't necessarily always mean blazing speed. It doesn't necessarily mean base stealing speed. Just getting good jumps, getting a good lead. If you're at first and there's a man at second, that first baseman's playing back, extend your lead. So a lot of it is doing that. And it helps to have the nice speed and strides that Christian Yelich has.
Pours the runner at second. Echeverria cuts on it and miss. And it's 0-2.
I don't know if you can really explain it. We've tried a couple of times. With Mathis in the lineup, Echeverria moves up to the number 7 spot. In 12 starts, hitting 7th, just a 130 batting average. Yet hitting 8th, hitting 313.
It really is incredible. Any manager, hitting coach, scout, even players will tell you hitting 8th in the National League is hard. It is a drain on the brain because it's mind games going on. Are they going to pitch to you? Do you have to chase? And for whatever reason, Echeverria clicks in that spot. Maybe it's the fact that Echeverria is an aggressive hitter, and so he doesn't mind going out of the zone after a pitch. Maybe it's because pitchers feel since he is aggressive, they have a chance to strike him out or get him to chase a bad pitch, and then they'll be able to lead off the next inning with the pitcher.
A lot of pitches for Matt Whistler to this point.
Back into the seats. Matt Williams today before the ball game, the Nationals, announcing that Doug Fister has been taken out of the rotation and has been put into the bullpen. That one lined to left, hit pretty well. Perez back, and he's there and makes the catch. But the Marlins answer back. Braves had a 3-run lead. Back and forth they go. The Marlins draw within 1. Derek Dietrich. A solo shot. Browns crew is out tending to the plate and the mound, and we check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Yeah, guys, Turner Field is a ballpark that Martin Prado is certainly familiar with, having played for the Braves from 2006 to 2012. I had a chance to talk to him earlier today about his time here in Atlanta. Here's what stood out.
All the people I knew, all the people I met, all the people that influenced my career. There's a lot of people up there in the next, the other room that make me better as a person and make me better as a professional baseball player. And it's always important to know that there's people up there that care about you. They care about how you develop and how you can become a real nice person, a good baseball player. And I'll always be thankful that they give me the opportunity to play baseball.
And Prado coming up big for his team tonight, guys. 2 sacrifice flies so far for Martin Prado.
Jess and Tommy, it's been a real interesting ball game. I mean, neither team is in a hurry, and there have already been 9 runs scored in 2.5 innings.
Now you have the feeling it's not going to end 5-4. You got the feeling of one of those games. Martin Prado, too, you heard what he said. Just great hearing him say that. And you know what? He's carried that over himself. Now that he's a veteran, takes care of the younger players, helps them learn how to play the game the right way, as Chipper Jones did with him.
As expected, Adam Conley takes over for Jose Urena. Urena didn't have it tonight, and he got hit in the knee with a line drive. And as we saw that inning progress, the longer the inning went, you saw Conley get up and warm up. You knew that Urena was done, and he heads to the clubhouse.
Well, you give him credit, Jose Urena. He tried. He stayed in there and wanted to go further. Adam Conley, in his outings so far, has done a nice job. He's had 1 start. The other outings out of the bullpen. But generally, one of the things he's done well is throw strikes, and he uses that changeup effectively.
So the lefty out of Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, out in the wheat fields, Tommy. He gets Joey Turdoslavich, Adonis Garcia, Daniel Castro. And this is Turdoslavich, who popped out in the first.
Turdoslavich, a switch hitter, so up there on the right side.
Ichiro had a little trouble finding that. You've got a couple things going on. You still have heavy cloud cover and bits and pieces of sunlight breaking through. And of course, twilight is approaching here, 8:19 in Atlanta.
Technically sound is Ichiro. So far, Adam Conley, the way he's thrown, another good outing or 2, or maybe 1, he may find himself in the rotation.
Out towards center. Yelich is there. A couple of fly ball outs from Adam Conley. Here comes Daniel Castro. This is a 4-game series. The Marlins playing the Braves here. And then it's home for 2 against the Boston Red Sox. On August 11th, 7:10, a Tuesday night, first 10,000 fans. On that Tuesday, get an Ichiro t-shirt courtesy of Saito Pharmaceutical. You can secure your seats today for the Red Sox series, 1-877 Marlins, or go to marlins.com. Daniel Castro, he hit the line drive that was off the knee of Urena. Conley whips one in there to get a strike.
It's the other thing Conley does well. Mixes his fastball up. It's usually low 90s, 90, 91.
Marlins had a lefty out of Washington State that was taller than Conley. Was actually their opening day starter in '07. That's Mark Hendrickson. And of course, one of the distinctions Hendrickson had is a guy that played in the NBA and in Major League Baseball. Liner into center field. That's a base hit. Castro's hit the ball hard twice up the middle.
There have been a few that have had that distinction. I was a teammate with Ron Reed, who actually pitched for the Atlanta Braves and then in Philadelphia, and also played in the NBA.
Danny Ainge. A little more common back in the 50s, 60s era. Slow roller out to Gordon at second. Flip to first in time. Adam Conley, a 9-pitch inning and a 5-4 Braves lead. Top four, 5-4, Atlanta on top. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. The rain has abated for the moment, but it's been in and out all night. Jeff Mathis. And you got Adam Conley. Mathis fouls it back. And then D. Gordon. Matt Whistler was jumped for 2 runs in the top of the first. Settled down, went 1-2-3 in the second. And his ball club actually gave him a 5-2 lead. The Marlins answered back, getting 2 more in the third. It's 2-1 to Mathis.
Mathis getting a second consecutive start. A couple of reasons. Dan Jennings telling us that he just wants to get JT out a couple games. He's got a little bruise on his catching hand, but nothing serious. He's available if needed.
3-2. Are you going to miss this ballpark? I mean, we're not there yet. Next year is the victory lap, or whatever you want to call it, for Turner Field. Mathis swings and misses.
You know, it's been interesting. There have been some really good games here that the Marlins have played, and some really bad games. If you look over the years. I love our vantage point. You and I have always talked about it. We have a great sight line. We have great crew that we work with. Hopefully they'll make the trip up to the new ballpark.
I think they're all getting sacked. Beautiful skies around Atlanta right now. Saw that last shot. The sun has come through, and as it sets, the whole sky is just lit up. Adam Conley, a line drive into left field. A base hit for Conley. His first major league hit. How about that? Adam Conley didn't know that he was pitching tonight. Jose Urena, a short start. And so Conley not only comes in to pitch, but he comes in to hit.
And that was a sweet swing. I mean, he hit that ball like he's gotten 100 base hits into left field, just like this. Watch this. A little fastball, two-seamer away. There he is, goes down. Line drive left field.
Whistler had that one slip out of his hand. And the Braves have to be a little bit concerned that Whistler has been unable to take control of this game, with his team getting 5 runs. For both the Marlins and the Braves to have this many runs this early is somewhat of a luxury. These two teams don't score a lot.
All the Marlin base hits tonight have been by left-handed bats.
There's been 9 runs and 14 hits in 3 innings. Freddie Gonzalez, with the Braves undergoing a makeover, somewhat of an extreme makeover.
That's where it gets back to what we've talked about with the Marlins. Certainly the Marlins isn't as extreme when you look at players that they have to build on. A Yelich, a Stanton, a Real Muto, an Echeverria, D. Gordon, Jose Fernandez.
Gordon chases a high fastball. Whistler gets a strikeout. And here comes Dietrich.
The Braves right now, they can talk about Freeman, Andrelton Simmons. I think they feel very good with Jace Peterson. Third base is a questionable position. And Markakis, with the contract he signed, he settled into right field.
South Florida Honda dealers, get you ready for a Jose Fernandez start. Craig Minervini will be driving solo. Preston Wilson is off to Pittsburgh for a big Fox assignment.
The Braves have their number 1 pitcher, Tehran, Julio Tehran. He's locked in for a few years.
Dietrich homering to right, walked and scored in the first. I thought you were going to say the Braves have their number 1 pitchers, plural, all here this weekend. It's alumni weekend.
Yeah, they're going to have a few number 1s here this weekend.
That's right. Tom Glavine, John Smoltz. I haven't heard if Greg Maddux is going to make it.
Not heard.
Will be here.
I haven't seen a list.
So Greg Maddux will be here. Alumni weekend.
Mike Mordecai is going to be here.
There you go. That's a nice.
That's all we need.
Braves Marlins tie.
There's Tommy Glavine.
Glavine in the middle of Joe Simpson and Chip Carey. both Joneses.
David Justice is going to be in the house. The crime dog.
Oh, the crime dog.
Yeah, Fred McGriff. And a pitcher who many thought, when Maddox and Glavine and Smoltz, when those guys arrived on the scene, another left-hander who many thought would be around as long, Steve Avery. So some nice names out of the Atlanta Braves past.
2 outs. Derek Dietrich just blasted his 7th home run. Pulls a sharp ground ball. Captured there. Peterson gets the out. Jace Peterson, an acrobatic play. Miami leaves a runner. Bottom of the 4th in Atlanta, 5-4. Brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. Visit your South Florida Chevy dealers today. By Checkers Mix and Match. Our famous Big Buford and Big Chicken Deluxe. Get 2 for $5. Checkers. It's in the bag. The sky's lighting up over Atlanta. Some rain clouds drifting back over Turner Field. Atlanta 5-4 lead over Miami, bottom 4. Adam Conley just getting his first major league hit and coming on in relief of Jose Urena. Urena knocked around in his 2 innings, literally and figuratively. Was hit by a line drive in the knee, stayed in and finished that inning. That was the 2nd, but he did give up 3 runs. So Conley worked a quick 3rd here in the 4th now.
Worked a quick 3rd, stepped in, got himself his first major league hit. Now he's back out there for inning number 2. He's a little bit tougher. He's back to the top of the order for Atlanta.
Jace Peterson. Peterson off to a pretty good start. Slumped a bit. Came into the ball game with a 250 batting average, 325 on base. The Braves are hopeful that as he continues to get his feet wet here in the big leagues, this his first full season, that those numbers will come up. He is a terrific athlete. Was a college football player at McNeese State. And in AA and AAA, an average of 307, an on base of 402, and a slugging of 447. So he showed through the minors that he can hit and get on base. 1-2 coming. And a good Off-speed pitch by Conley to get the strikeout. Time now for our Coors Timeless Moment. Tom Glavine's number retired on this date in 2010. 244 of his 305 wins were with the Braves. All the Glavines throwing out first pitches there. We will have some of the Braves alumni in and around our booth throughout our show.
Yeah, that'll be exciting for us to get a chance to get a few guys here in the booth to talk about. The report is, Rich, Jose Urena removed from the game with a left knee contusion.
Yuri Perez. Roller out to short. Echeverria is there quickly and gets the outs. And Adam Conley certainly has restored order.
Just keeping hitters off balance enough, and that's what it's all about.
You will like Adam Conley's major in college because you watch this show usually when we're on the road while you're ironing about 2 o'clock.
Well, usually Tuesday it's 24/7. They're on every hour.
Law and Order.
Law and Order.
Criminal justice major.
That's our life. Rich always knows better than to call me about 2 in the afternoon. Or if he does, he knows what I'm doing.
This is Markakis. That's a swing. It's going to be a strike. I think it hit him in the hand or the wrist. But anytime you swing at a pitch, even if it hits you, it's a strike, or bunt at it for that matter. Conley's making a long walk around behind the mound to give Markakis some time. That almost looked like a changeup that wandered in.
Well, he throws that lefty on lefty changeup. That's how he struck out Peterson this inning.
It's a tough way to get a strike, isn't it? Echeverria. Tell you what, Adam Conley has looked sharp. 1-run game. Braves on top. 5-4 Braves. 5th inning arrives, and so does our Geico Major League moment. In 1952, at 46 years and 30 days, Satchel Paige becomes the oldest pitcher in Major League history to throw a complete game. 12 innings, 7 hits, 9 strikeouts in a 1-0 win over Detroit. I think at that point they weren't that concerned about old Satch's pitch count. Here's Yelich now. Justin Bour, Martin Prado also coming up. Yelich rips it in the gap, right center field. 3rd hit of the night for Yelich, and this one is for extra bases.
Not only more good hitting from Christian Yelich, but more good base running. Stretching that into 2 bases, 14th double of the year. Boy, great job. He's had hits to left center, to center, and to right center. Breaking ball out over the plate. Not a bad pitch, up a little bit. Yelich just with a good swing.
But a lot of work with Frank Menechino and Lenny Harris. And it's really been fun to watch Yelich the last 2 months. Here now is Bour. And Whistler stays away from him with a changeup. Both teams have been really good tonight about moving runners, going 1st to 3rd. The Marlins have a pair of sacrifice flies. They've gone 1st to 3rd a couple times. The Braves have a couple of sacrifice bunts and a sacrifice fly. Bour pulls it right side. That's going to move the runner up. Zernoslovich's throw is in time to get him.
And look who's coming up.
Martin Prado, who has 2 sacrifice flies. He'll get a shot at 3. We've been told, Tommy, that in 23 years of Marlins baseball, there has never been a player to have 3 sacrifice flies in the same game.
You know, Martin Prado has a shot here. I'm sure Justin Bour wanted to do a little bit more with that at bat, but even with the out, the ground ball to the right side, he was able to move Yelich to 3rd.
Infield's in. Prado into center field. That's a base hit, and this game is tied at 5.
So that time Martin Prado just said, the heck with the sacrifice fly, I'm going to get a base hit. Infield was in. In his time as a Brave, his career average in this ballpark well over 300, so he's always felt comfortable hitting here at Turner Field.
It sounded like it at first, but in watching that replay, that appeared to graze off the end of Whistler's glove. Now Ichiro, who's bounced out and singled. Another look. Watch this.
This is the first base hit of the night, by the way, from a right-handed batter. Yeah, just ticked the top of his webbing.
Those are the career numbers you talked about.
Marlins used to come here. They'd see Prado. If Chipper wasn't playing, he'd be at 3rd. Chipper was in the lineup, he'd be in left.
And it always seemed to come down to the 9th inning or extra innings. And it was either Prado or Omar Infante who would line a ball into left.
That's exactly right.
Line a ball to left or dump one into center for the game-winning hit. I can remember one big comeback and walk-off win, which was actually a review of a home run to right. Which was the most agonizing way to lose a game.
Because you had to wait.
And everybody, including us, saw the replay right away and knew it was a home run. But it took the review.
Was that a Brian McCann?
I believe so. But the review took like 2 minutes, and you just knew it was a walk-off review. In fact, I think we started our post-game show before.
Craig was into the post-game.
That's right.
I don't think the Marlins have had a walk-off challenge. I think it has happened in baseball.
(3-1). That's ball 4. Ichiro lays the bat down, trots down to first. And you would expect the Braves bullpen to maybe stir and start to action here shortly. Roger McDowell pops out of the dugout.
That's a guy who's done a nice job as the Braves pitching coach for quite a while now, Roger McDowell. Of course, the Marlins just coming off that series against the Mets. Mets fans certainly have good memories of Roger McDowell. Ross Detweiler, he of the mostly fastballs. It's a left-handed Bartolo Colon, but in a lot better shape.
Different weight class. He's more the middleweight, maybe a little lower the flyweight. Although the way that Colon threw the ball against the Marlins the other night, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you win 10 games. Colon 10-10 with that win. Doesn't make a bit of difference.
Breaking ball from Whistler is down low. And Chavarria tonight is flied out to left and to right. 86th pitch coming from Whistler. Prado, the runner, at second. Ichiro, the trail runner, at first. Etch up the middle. Out there, and the turn by Peterson in time for the double play. Castro to Peterson to Terdoslavich. Miami gets a run and ties it. It's 5-5.
He's a fan favorite in last night's big winner, Phil the Bucket! And he said a victory tonight, and he'll crowd surf during the Billy Currington concert later. It's 2-bit the drill. Right,
this is the most violent tool race we've ever seen here in Atlanta.
Yeah, it got real physical, even at the beginning.
Taking out the rest of the field.
I mean, this is like NASCAR. A.J. Pierzynski lines one into right field, and it's caught there by Ichiro. And so Brzezinski,
Into the wall.
Cameron Maben. Now, I mean, look, it's just mayhem. Huh? They couldn't get 30 feet without somebody falling over.
And then the bucket gets a little of his own medicine.
This is SummerSlam.
He sidesteps, but right about there.
A little cocky, and it looks like the Hammer's going to win. Hank,
is that legal? Is that legal?
Oh,
Look at that.
that's not.
And
B-Rush, the brush.
Tool races of the season.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the Hammer is placed on the 15-day disabled list. Maben now, 5-5 ball game. Adam Conley throws a strike. Maben, RBI single, has flied out. Adam Conley has been super. He's thrown just 22 pitches, and he's recorded 7 outs.
Though you have one a veteran, one a rookie. We talked about Chris Narveson, the job he did and really helped the bullpen in the ball game last night. Adam Conley doing that tonight. Not the only thing he's doing. Became the 13th Marlins pitcher and the first since 2009, Dave Davidson, to record his first major league hit in his first major league plate appearance.
Three and one to Maben. Couple things about Conley, reading the scouting reports on him, not only from college but also in the minor leagues. He was a closer in college at times. As well, his delivery in the minor leagues was compared to, at one point, because of the herky-jerky unique motion, to a Dontrelle Willis. Conley, over the last couple of years in the minor leagues, has cleaned up the delivery. He was a second-round draft pick by Miami. He misses down low, and he walks Maben. The whip around. Tommy, have you seen the whip around lately? It's got cool music, great highlights. It always takes a while for the music to kick in. Don't miss it. MLB Whip Around on Fox Sports 1. Highlights, instant analysis, live look-ins, 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Streams live on Fox Sports Go. Terdoslavich fouls it back to the screen.
I know Conley upset that he issued the walk to Maben. He'll have to keep his eye on him. We know Maben can run.
You like the way Conley works down in the zone.
He keeps that changeup down. He has that to precision. And you can see he's had a lot of the Braves hitters fooled out in front. Swings and misses, little weak ground balls.
Justin Nicolino has had a solid year at AAA. Jose Urena as well. But Conley's numbers actually better over the course of a 19-game, 18-start run with New Orleans. 9-3 with a 2.52 ERA. Missed half of last year with an elbow strain. Runner goes, and the Braves knock it into right center field. Yelich has to get over. Slips, and it gets by him. And Maben is going to score. All the way to third is Terdoslavich. Christian Yelich hustling into the gap. And with Maben on the run, an urgency to cut it off and get it in.
Maben able to pick up that ball. Here goes Christian Yelich as he plants that left foot. It just gives way. The rain dampening the outfield grass. He slips. That allows Maben to come all the way around from first base and score. I don't know if they would charge an error. I would just think triple all the way. We'll have to wait and see. Huh.
Single E8, no RBI.
Well, that's a tough scoring because nobody's rewarded there. Trdosilovic doesn't get the RBI. Yelich gets an error.
Oh, 1 pitch. Depending on how the inning unfolds, Conley might be the only one that gets some relief if it's an unearned run. There's the outfield that was chewed up by Yelich. Adonis Garcia, 3 home runs. All 3 have given the Braves the lead. Sends that one left center field deep. Yelich on the run, looking up, gone. And that is his 4th. Atlanta.
He hit a big one the other night, a game winner for the Braves, and shows some power because that ball really carried. It jumped. Wasn't sure if when he first hit it, if it had enough distance, but it carried a long way.
And so Conley tries to regroup. The Braves have struck for 3 runs. And here's Castro, who has hit it hard twice. Once into center, once off of Jose Urena for a hit. Well, when you're named Adonis, Tommy, you got power, right?
Talked about how Conley's been able to keep pitches down. That time Adam Conley got a pitch up, made a mistake, and he had to pay the price.
Garcia, a Cuban, 30-year-old Cuban, came over to the States in 2012. Finds himself getting a shot here with the Braves in the absence of Chris Johnson, who's not on the disabled list but is slumping badly.
Well, Garcia with 4 home runs. Chris Johnson has just 2 in a lot more at bats.
Yeah, just his 14th game. He's got 4 homers. Funny, we're talking about the first 3 gave the Braves the lead. The only other Brave, he's the first Brave actually to do that since 1983. Brett Butler was the last Brave to do that. His first 3 homers give his team the lead. Right field line.
And you wouldn't think that from Bugsy, the home run. You think stolen bases, but you know what? Every once in a while, yeah, you take one deep.
I bet you it took more than 14 games, though.
What year was that?
1983.
All right.
Yelich calling and catching. Daniel Castro, the fly ball out, second out of the 5th.
Brett Butler had 5 home runs in '83 in 151 games.
How many bags did he steal? Mid-50s?
39 year. He hadn't quite gotten rolling yet. He had 52 the next year.
Brian Ellington in Miami's bullpen. Oh, Whistler has kind of endured, hasn't he? He's given up 5 runs on 9 hits, and yet he's in line for the win here. Bohr, foul territory, has it. And the Braves jump back up on the board, jump back up in the game. Adonis Garcia, 2-run homer. Telecast tomorrow night is Jose Fernandez starts and Julio Teheran goes for Atlanta. It's a tasty matchup in Atlanta. It's a 7 o'clock start for Marlins Live. First pitch around 7:35.
That'll be a good matchup tomorrow night. A lot of success in his early career for Jose against the Braves.
Now, do weather conditions figure into a scoring decision in terms of defense?
I think they should. I think when you see this play over again and you see how he slips and everything comes out from under him, to me that should not be an error because of the conditions.
Yelich's uniform is just all beat up.
Watch the left foot. It just gives.
And then the right foot slides.
Freddie Gonzalez trying to get one more inning out of Whistler.
Jeff Mathis. And he takes outside.
I think it's the type of decision a manager makes that depends on where he is in the lineup. And with the bottom part of the Marlins lineup, he decided to send Whistler back out there.
Cole Gillespie in Miami's on deck circle. That's Adam Conley's spot in the order. Then it's top of the order, D. Gordon in the 6th. 8-5. We showed you early in the telecast how runs have been so precious for both of these teams this year. And here they have 13 combined midway through the ballgame. Full count, 3-2. Mathis walks. Fish family remembers you can renew your season tickets for your chance to win a trip to the 2016 All-Star Game along with other incredible prizes and experiences. Enjoy maximum savings, rewards, flexible payment options. Renew by phone 1-877-MARLINS at marlins.com or in an upcoming home game. Well, with a runner at first, it's Adam Conley who is going to take the at-bat square and try to lay one down, which is an indication from Dan Jennings that he needs some more innings out of Conley from a bullpen that has been used a lot with short starts.
Well, we talked about the last 3 starts in that series against the Mets. No one went 5 innings.
Ellington is ready if needed. Conley, tell you what, he has handled the bat quite well. He got his first major league hit and now his first major league sacrifice bunt. And so Whistler's coming out. Braves go to their bullpen with Mathis in scoring position and 1 out. 8-5 Braves. A West Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. We check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Rich. Well, Giancarlo Stanton is not on this road trip with the Marlins. That's because he is back in Miami working on strengthening that left hand that had the broken bone. Now, he has taken another step in the right direction as of yesterday. He was taking swings in the batting cages. Unfortunately, still not a timetable for his return. But Jared Cozart, he could be joining the team by the end of the month. He did have a setback with his vertigo, but they were able to diagnose and treat that. He is now in Jupiter. He's going to make some rehab starts, and if those go well, Dan Jennings says he could be back with the team in the next few weeks.
You know, that's great news. The Marlins have missed Cozart this year. You look at what he was able to do last year. A big part of the rotation. Matt Marksbury comes in for Atlanta.
And I think you'd like to see Cozart come back and pitch with some success, because you want to be able to determine where he fits in next year.
D. Gordon trying to bunt, bunts it foul. Speaking of bunts, we were past the note that Adam Conley's single in the 4th came in his first plate appearance, which would have made that sacrifice bunt his first. It was actually his first official at bat, and Conley had a couple of sacrifice hits before that one. So his 3rd sacrifice bunt. still, he's been impressive at the plate. So his first official at bat resulted in a base hit. And he now has 3 sacrifice bunts.
When you line up, and I don't blame Dan Jennings for doing this because he's got to get those bats up early. You line up the lefties with Gordon, Dietrich, Yelich, Bohr. It allows that opposing manager to make that move to a left-hander, and he can leave him in for a few hitters.
Maven makes the catch. We apologize from home plate. Two outs, and here is Derek Dietrich. Well, the balance that you're talking about is obvious. Jessica just had the report on Giancarlo Stanton, and Marcell Ozuna continues to tear it up and swing it well in New Orleans. And you hope that you see Ozuna here shortly. There's now Derek Dietrich, who was homered, walked, and was robbed of a hit on a nice play by Jace Peterson. So you get those two bats, those two right-handed bats back. Those are bats that are going to sit in your lineup, usually 3, 4, 5 in that spot.
Then you can kind of mix things up a little bit.
Dietrich pulls it deep down the line and foul. Wow, just missed his second homer of the ball game.
I think in Derek Dietrich you're starting to see consistent, comfortable at bats.
Fastball, foul back. Last 4 games for Dietrich. Remember, he homered on the homestand against former Brave closer Craig Kimbrell, a dramatic one. And then didn't have many hits after that until the last couple of days. And you saw those numbers last 4 days. Matt Marksberry. Dietrich sends that one up in the air. High and right center. Maben calling off Markakis. He makes the catch. Miami strands a runner. Bottom 6, 8-5 Braves. of the Marlins, Centennial Park. Soccer Sunday continues this week. Red Bulls and New York City FC, 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. It's sponsored by Audi. Marlins dip further into their bullpen. Brian Ellington. And Ellington misses down low. So with Ellington coming in, remember the Marlins were going to pinch hit for Adam Conley. They had Conley sacrifice. There's a liner off the bat of Peterson. It curls towards Dietrich, and he makes the running catch. Tommy, the fact that the Marlins brought Conley to the plate and then ended up bringing Ellington into the ball game, does that tell you that Dan Jennings' bench might be shorter than we know?
Well, because he was obviously with the sacrifice bunt order, and it was dropped down nicely by Conley, just going after a run, even though at the time, and it still is, a 3-run deficit. So you try to figure out why that move was made. That would be a possible reason. Maybe the bench is shorter and he didn't want to use Gillespie. Gillespie had gotten in the on-deck circle.
Right.
Looked like he was going to hit. And then once Conley went up there, you thought, well, he's going to go back out there and pitch.
And you know that the Braves dugout is thinking the same thing right now. I mean, they're trying to figure out, it's obviously a chess match of sorts. They're trying to figure out, all right, if this happened, why did that happen? And what are the ramifications down the road? Yuri Perez, 25-year-old Dominican. Chopper down the third baseline, that is foul. For Ellington now, worked in the first 2 games against the Mets, did not give up a run, made his major league debut on August 3rd. Gainesville native. Soft fly to right. Falls for a hit. So Perez has a base hit. Here comes Nick Markakis. Games in the division, the National League East, involving teams from the National League East, were all this afternoon. The Nationals bounced back and beat Arizona 8-3. The Phillies gave the Dodgers a scare, but the Dodgers ended up winning 10-8. Zach Greinke didn't have it on the mound, but he sure did at the plate. He was 3 for 3 with a home run.
Well, you talk about helping your own cause.
Runner goes, pitch a strike, Mathis throw, and a stolen base. And no chance for Jeff Mathis at all. Perez stole that off of Ellington.
Boy, he sure did. You could see the jump that he got, and now Mathis goes out there. I mean, he's more than halfway. Jeff Mathis quickly went out to the mound to talk to Ellington and say, look, got to hold him a little closer than that and give me a chance back here.
So Mets lead in the East is down to a game and a half. Nationals move up a half game.
Let's see, the Mets have that series against the Rays. The Washington Nationals host a series against the Rockies starting tomorrow night.
As you see the East right now, it's the Marlins and the Phillies trying to both dig out of the cellar. The Braves trying to keep from dropping lower. Atlanta's actually dropped 11 of their last 14 games to sit 10 back. So a 2-team race for the division title, and both are going to have to improve a little bit to get themselves in that wild card number 2 spot. If everything ended going into play today, Mets, Cardinals, Dodgers would be division champs. Wild card game would be played at Pittsburgh, and the opponent would be San Francisco, which is the same as it was last year. Ellington can't get it, but Echeverria can, and he gets it to first in time to get Markakis.
Good job by Echeverria. And it's good that Ellington didn't deflect it. Yeah, it seems like the Pirates are getting used to that wild card game every year.
Last year they were hammered at home. I think the Giants won that game 8-0. Brandon Crawford hit a grand slam. Was that the first of Bumgarner's great postseason starts?
I think he did pitch that game.
Brzezinski swings.
Oh, a good changeup.
And misses.
See, the word is out that Ellington has that 95-plus fastball. Brzezinski dialed up for it, and he got the changeup. Brzezinski saying so much for scouting reports. Like he got another one. That's a good mix, because we saw Ellington. Remember, he had that at bat with Duda, and he dropped in a 3-2 breaking ball, curveball that struck him out.
He's 0-2 on Brzezinski. He's doubled, walked, lined to left. Count stays at 0-2. 13 runs, 19 hits. 10 runners left, and a lot of offense for both of these teams in this ball game compared to their last couple of weeks. That one, change up at 88, rode way out. Cubs at home against the Giants. Two teams tightly bunched for that second wild card spot, and the Cubs have a 5-2 lead in the middle of the 4th inning at Wrigley.
Seems like every time the Cubs bring up a young player, they perform. Kyle Schwarber, left-handed hitting catcher, he's got 3 RBIs, hit a 3-run homer off Heston.
Brandon Belt has homered for San Francisco. 2-2 coming. Runner at third. It's Perez. Brzezinski knocks it foul. Toronto seems to really have responded to the trades at the deadline. 9-3. They're beating up on the Twins in the 8th. Up at Rogers Center. 2-2. It was really fun to see David Price after his start in Toronto. And you think about Price and some of the big games that he started postseason. Certainly for the Rays, and then pitching in big games for the Tigers. Not a long tenure there, but he said it's the best atmosphere he's ever pitched in.
That's pretty amazing. But they have 45,000 on Civic Day.
Dietrich over there, and he makes the catch. And Brian Ellington works a scoreless 6th. 7th inning arrives in soggy Atlanta.
ponies riding for the beast. A little Frankenstein waiting for a feast. It's the killer. It has levels there. In the shit.
Catchy tune there. Almost sounded B-52ish. Appropriate since we are close to Athens, Georgia. Marlins and Braves. Jessica Blaylock, Tommy Hutton, Rich Waltz with you. Rain is in the area. It's been in and out of this game. 8-5, Atlanta on top. Miami 5 runs, 9 hits. Atlanta 10 hits, 8 runs. Athens, Georgia, B-52s and REM, right?
REM, yes.
Am I missing anybody?
I didn't know B-52s. REM I knew. It's been such a nice night for Christian Yelich. They've taken the error away. And I think clearer heads prevailed in the scoring room.
So that was on the Joey Turdoslavich drive to right. Watch the feet of Yelich.
I mean, when you slip that badly, you're just getting the glove down to brace yourself, not even to catch the ball. So Turdoslavich gets the triple and an RBI.
I pointed it out last inning, but Yelich from head to toe on both sides. I mean, this is how you wanted to come home after a day of baseball, right? Because then your mom and dad knew that you played and you played hard.
And if you had a good day, you didn't want it washed either. And Yelich is having a good day.
Yelich sends that one out to center. Maben runs it down.
But Yelich, 3 hits. He scored a couple of runs. He has an RBI and he has a stolen base. That time, Cameron Maben, who tracks him down with the best of them, was able to get to that one.
Yeah, just a reminder that Maben can go gap to gap.
Oh, it's starting to rain a little harder right now.
Matt Marksberry continuing this lefty for the Braves, who kind of looks like a left-handed Tyler Clippard. Everybody get under the plastic. Justin Bour up the middle, cut off there by Peterson. And Marksberry has 2 outs. On Wednesday, Marlins and Red Sox close out the series at 4:10. Join us as the Marlins will recognize the Franchise 4 during the game. And the first 10,000 fans get a Marlins Franchise 4 poster courtesy of Star Cash and 1-2-3 lump sum. Secure your seats today. Go to marlins.com. Who is your Franchise 4 for the Marlins? You got to start with.
Well, you got Jeff Conine, you got Giancarlo, you have Mike Lowell.
How about Miggy?
Gary Sheffield.
Shep? Oh, is it a done deal or are you?
It's a done deal.
Oh, okay.
Done, secured.
See, I did not get that.
Signed and sealed.
That. All right. That email went in and out of my inbox without me looking at it. Marti Prado fouls it back. Prado has driven in a run in each plate appearance. Sacrifice flies in the first and the third. Line drive single in the fifth. Marksberry captures it. And he goes 1-2-3 in the seventh. The varsity in downtown Atlanta. What do you have, Tommy? What do you have?
What do you have? What do you have?
That 3-run bottom of the 5th, the difference in the game. Toyota Trend, Cameron Maben. Against the Marlins, 349. That's your Toyota Trend.
Well, that was helped, and we talk about it all the time, by that 3-game series he had at Sun Life in 2011. He was 9 for 15 and had 5 stolen bases.
And I think he stole a home run and made a crashing catch against the wall, just for good measure, down in the triangle.
That was when he was playing for San Diego.
Maben, Joey Turdoslavich, Adonis Garcia against Brian Ellington. If you're just popping into this one, this was a Jose Urena start. Knocked around and then eventually knocked out of the ball game on a line drive that hit him in the knee. Urena gave up 5 runs. Adam Conley came in. Conley pitched well his first 2 innings. And then in the 5th, gave up 3 runs, including a 2-run homer by Adonis Garcia. Maben, the Asheville, North Carolina native.
So this is a nice place for him to play.
Ellington underhand flip. And an out here in the bottom of the 7th. News in and around the division. We talked about the Nationals taking Doug Fister out of the rotation. He's now in the bullpen. Steven Strasburg will be activated and start Saturday against the Rockies. So Strasburg is coming back. He's been on the DL since July 5th. Strained left oblique.
I think last time out, I was reading he had a pretty good outing in the minor leagues too.
He struck out 11. Pitching for AAA Syracuse. It's not been a great season. 13 starts with the Nationals. His ERA is over 5. His record is 5-5. Dietrich been getting a workout out there in left, which is good.
Yeah, because every time he gets a ball, it's a ball that he probably hasn't had to react to. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, the more variety, the
good practice.
Get it out of your system.
That's why it's always good, especially if you're learning an outfield position, during batting practice, to take balls off the hitters. It's one thing to get some fly balls and work on routes a little bit when a coach is hitting fungos to you, but it's another thing to take balls off hitters who are swinging in the cage.
Adonis Garcia is an interesting player. I told you, for a guy just getting a look here with Atlanta. He's 30, out of Cuba. Defected in 2012. And he muscled up impressively in the 5th.
Yeah, he really did, because I think I mentioned it at the time. I wasn't quite sure this ball would carry out, and it just continued to. That shows the pop that Adonis Garcia has.
Famous athletes named Adonis, other than Adonis. Not Udonis.
Yeah, can't think of any. Udonis is the only other one I can think of. Can't think of any baseball players. Of course, the Braves have another interesting, and they hope successful, Cuban player. One of the big pieces they got in that deal with the Dodgers, Hector Olivera. We'll talk about it.
8-5 Braves.
lead it, that is, 8-5. Ichiro Suzuki up to bat for the Marlins, and there's been a lot of attention with him at the plate now that he's officially less than 100 hits away from 3,000. But for Ichiro himself, he says that's not something that he really thinks about during his at-bats. He said that, of course, it's a big deal that he's less than 100 hits away from 3,000, but he also knows how important that one hit can be and how even one at-bat can change a game. In fact, he says that the only time he really thinks about getting to 3,000 is when he has to answer questions about it. Other than that, for Ichiro, it is business as usual at the plate. And guys, that is not surprising at all.
And he is the most limber baseball player in all of the land. You can see him getting ready for this at bat against Andrew McCurahan.
I think the other thing, Rich, about Ichiro, he's the most well-prepared player you're ever going to see, and gets the most done in the shortest period of time. He doesn't waste any time when he's at the ballpark.
He has an intricate stretching routine, both the strengthening and stretching, that even marvel his teammates at times. He has a variety of gadgets that you don't normally see in a major league clubhouse. A spike ball that he likes to roll under his foot. He has one of those, the foam rollers, the grid rollers. It's not only a grid roller, but it's also got something inside that'll shake. Fastball up and in, and Ichiro walks. So he's been on base 3 times. The leadoff walk here in the 8th as Miami tries to chip away at this Atlanta 3-run lead. Rain is falling. Earlier in the game we said, hey, hashtag at FL Data Strong fan, and we'll put your photo up. Mary is the Data Strong fan of the game. Echeverria pushes the bunt. Peterson flips, and Etch beats it. Perfectly placed. And the Marlins are at first and second. Echeverria forcing Peterson to make the play, and he's deep.
This is a great play, and if you're the hitter and you have a left-handed pitcher who falls off a little bit to the third base side, your goal, your objective is to push it out toward the second baseman. Echeverria did just that. Peterson didn't have a play, and just like that, the Marlins get the tying run to the plate.
So first and second, rain falling.
Well, you talk about a guy who got a huge hit last night in that 9th inning. Miguel Rojas cleared the bases with a pinch hit double down the right field line.
He's had some great at-bats over the last 3 weeks. McCarahan with a breaking ball for a strike. Jam shot and a little pop-up, and it's caught there by Pierzynski. McCarahan is a name that is familiar to Marlin fans who especially were watching over the offseason and in the winter. The Marlins took him from the Cubs in the Rule 5 draft in December, but just couldn't find a place for him on the roster coming out, and the Braves claimed him on waivers.
Yeah, right near the end of spring training, beginning of the season.
So McGee gets an at bat in the rain, and it's coming down harder. First and second, 1 out. Stop in Atlanta is always good for Casey McGee. Makes his offseason home in Tennessee. Ichiro at second, Echeverria at first. And McGee, a line drive into center field. That's a base hit. Ichiro will hold there. And McGee has loaded the bases for D. Gordon.
Casey McGee getting a little luck. He's hit into some hard luck. He's hit some balls at second base. That time, sure, when it left his bat, he was wondering if this was going to get over the head of the second baseman, Peterson, and it did.
So the Marlins here, down 3, have 3 on, 1 out. D. Gordon's up. He's doubled in 4 trips. Lefty on lefty, McCurahan and Gordon. And here's that spot in the order you talked about. The lefties are all lined up. Gordon, Dietrich, Yelich, Bohr.
Well, they've all done a pretty good job tonight.
Gordon fouls it back, and it's 1-1. Miami now out hitting Atlanta 11-10. Fans here have had to deploy the umbrellas and the plastic and the rain slickers and the ponchos probably about half a dozen times tonight, with rain starting and stopping, clearing, returning.
Yeah, they've congratulations to the fans who've stayed in there.
Gordon with a little looper into left field. That's a base hit. It'll score Ichiro. Echeverria around third. McGee will take third. The Marlins get 2. D. Gordon with a big hit, and it's 8-7. It's a 1-run game.
Well, just another multi-hit game for D. Gordon. Big base hit here. Makes it a 1-run ball game. Just fights off a pitch on the inner half. And hit it soft enough that 2-run score, but also Casey McGee was able to go first to third. So again, Rich, some good base running by the Marlins tonight.
D. Gordon asking for time. He doesn't have that wrist guard with him.
The other thing, Rich, if you remember about McCurahan, not too long after the Braves claimed him on April 20th, he was suspended for 80 games following a positive test for a banned substance.
Dietrich, big at bat, 1 out. Gordon's at first, and McCurahan goes over there. You've got McGee across the diamond at third. The Marlins with 2 runs here in the 8th, and some terrific at bats, as you pointed out. Echeverria's bunt, McGee's single, Gordon dumping one into left. Dietrich is homered, walked, bounced out, and flied out. Braves bullpen is ready with an arm if McCurahan continues to scuffle. Pitch is out. This the Warren Henry drive of the game, 3rd inning.
Yeah, for Derek Dietrich, home run number 7. This was a time not too long ago that you'd always think about that Braves bullpen. You'd think about Craig Kimbrell down there.
Johnny Venters.
They have had problems this year.
Eric O'Flaherty.
The veteran Jason Grilli. tore his Achilles covering first base. He's out for the year. Jim Johnson, the hard sinker baller, he's in Los Angeles now with the Dodgers.
Remember a few years back, Peter Moylan was always good for a couple of appearances a series. 1-1 to Dietrich. And it hit him. McCarrahan comes in, hits Dietrich. So it's Yelich who comes up with the bags loaded. Dietrich, a ball magnet. And there are times where he kind of dives in on the plate, but this one is up and in.
Yeah, this one got a little bit of that guard, but got a little bit of the arm as well. And plus it was thrown hard by McCarrahan.
Roger McDowell is out to talk to McCarrahan. I mean, if you're Roger McDowell and Freddie Gonzalez, you brought Marksberry in a spot where he could pitch to the lefty bats. And now you've got McCarrahan in a tight spot. Granted, he got himself into the tight spot, but all right, the lefty bats are coming up. You figure you'd keep him in. And it just hasn't worked out. Gordon has singled against him. He's hit Dietrich. And it looks like the Braves are going to stick with him to face Yelich as the rain.
It's getting heavier.
Is as hard as it's been all night. Here we go. McCarrahan, Yelich, bags loaded. Miami down a run. That's a swing, says home plate umpire Bob Davidson.
Yelich aggressively getting ready for a fastball. He got the fastball, but it was a little bit up. Couldn't hold back.
3 for 4. His double was in the 5th. The best ball he hit all night was the out on a 3 for 4 night. That was the ball that he hit to the warning track in left center that Maben in full flight ran down. I think the umpires are close to stopping it. We'll see if they can get this at bat in. We saw that shot of Hunter Wendelstadt, the crew chief, looking into the dugout. Pitch is up.
One of the things umpires try to look for, mainly in the pitcher, or if there's a play, is the weather affecting things? Is the weather affecting the way McCarrahan's throwing pitches?
Yelich just gets a piece on that 2-1 pitch. And it's 2-2.
Raindrops kind of hit the bill of the helmet and will trickle down in front of your eyes.
Yelich is having issues. McCarrahan certainly has to pitch through it as well.
Not to mention, you're dealing with those elements, and you got a guy out there throwing 93 miles an hour.
And the rain's starting to lighten up.
It's kind of been that way the last 2 or 3 innings.
1 out, bags loaded. McGee's at third, Gordon's at second, Dietrich at first. Fastball, ground ball to third. Garcia, one there. Relay not in time. And the Marlins tie it. Peterson, for just a moment, had trouble getting it out of his glove. Even with a clean turn, I don't know. Yelich was really busting it down the line.
Yelich gets down the line so quickly, I don't think they would have turned this double play. But there was a little hesitation getting it out of the glove. But I think he was by the bag enough. Watch Yelich get up the line. He knows to stay out of that double play is a tie game. And he did that. Credit Yelich with his second RBI tonight.
So an 8-8 ball game here in Atlanta. And Justin Bour checks in. McCarrahan, another lefty on lefty. Throw to first. Gordon breaks to the plate and then stops. If he has a better lead and he gets that same jump, he would swipe home. The Braves don't really shift as many teams have against Bour. Now, having runners at the corners affects what the infield can do. But in looking at the infield right now, it's a pretty standard alignment. Bour's behind in the count 0-2.
This is if you're Christian Yelich when you might think about taking off. Trying to draw a throw. You got tremendous speed at third base. The count's 0-2 to Bour.
Yeah, you'd almost invite a throw.
Yeah, even if you take off and they throw over to first.
With Gordon at third. Bour cracks one down the line. And foul. Wow. It's called foul. Bour makes the turn and is looking at the first base umpire, David Rackley. The Marlins certainly are going to look at this on a replay. It was in the corner. That's a long ways from us. But it is a reviewable play. And it's foul.
Foul. Wow. Good call by David Rackley, first base umpire, who really didn't have time. He doesn't have time to get down there. He just has to turn around and pick it up.
Yeah, judging from Bour took the turn and then turned around in disbelief. Maybe seeing it more with his heart than with his eyes, but that ball was hit so hard. Count now 0-2. Yelich and Gordon at the corners. And Bour fouls it back.
And the rain now has almost stopped.
And that's why the umpires will wait till the very last before they stop a game.
Well, especially to a game, you have a game in the 8th inning. At this point, you want to get it in.
Gordon continues to dance off of third base. Up and in. Bour bends out of the way. Would you rather have Yelich at first to keep Tardoslavich close? Or would you rather have him at second and third and have two guys out there?
Yeah, early on that was okay, but I wouldn't mind seeing him on the move.
That pop-up is going to find the seats. Good at bat here by Bour. He's had some good swings. Hit that bolt down the line that was just foul. In an 8-8 game, Miami has scored 3 times here in the 8th. Big man has 11 doubles, 10 homers. And he strikes out. McCarrahan strikes him out, but the Marlins strike for 3. As we go to the bottom of the 8th, it's a new game. It's 8-8. Changes for the Marlins. Casey Mee's going to stay in the ball game, and McGee is at first base. Tomas Telis is behind the plate. Remember, the Marlins pinch hit for Jeff Mathis with Miguel Rojas. And Brian Morris is in the ball game. Morris is on the mound. Morris becomes pitcher number 4 in the night, 3rd out of the pen. Adam Conley, Brian Ellington, and now Brian Morris.
Well, nice job by Brian Ellington in his 2 innings. Gave up just a bloop single to Yuri Perez. And that was it. Had a 1-2-3 7th inning. Just like that, Dan Jennings finds his ball club continuing to just fight back. And here they are, bottom of the 8th inning. It's an 8-8 game. And now the rain has got heavier, so it's back and forth.
If you are scoring at home, Brian Morris is in the 4 spot in Miami's lineup. That means Telis would be in the 8 spot. McGee, obviously staying in the game, is in the 9 spot. Daniel Castro, then the 9 spot. McCurahan's in there now. Jace Peterson in the top of the order. That would be Pedro Siriaco as he gets ready for an at-bat.
29-year-old out of the Dominican.
Morris up in with a fastball on an 0-2 pitch. Braves bullpen. You can see the door actually has the sign just in case you wander down there and you're looking for a restroom. You don't want to walk into the Braves bullpen. Off of Morris, and he throws it away down the right field line. Ichiro picks it up. It's going to be a hit for Castro, his 3rd. It's the 2nd time he's bounced one off a pitcher. Remember, he hit Urania in the knee.
Boy, this is a tough play. Looked like just above the ankle. I think Brian Morris maybe had a shot, but it would have taken a perfect throw. Good attempt on his part. Once the ball gets by first base, that allows Castro to move on to 2nd. Now you would imagine Siriaco is going to do everything to get him to 3rd.
Siriaco, and then you've got Peterson and Perez. Good bunt. Prado gets the out. Braves move the runner 90 feet from home plate. There's 1 out. Jace Peterson is the hitter.
You brought it up, Rich, and it is true in this game tonight. Both sides have done all the little things as far as sac bunts, sacrifice flies, moving runners over.
After the ball game, Marlins Live, brought to you by Checkers. We'll hear from Jose Fernandez on tomorrow's start. Short outing for Jose Urania. Infield in. 1 out. Morris against Peterson. Good pitch. Off speed for a strike. It's 0-1. Swing and a miss. Telis down to block it.
Boy, Brian Morris buried that good slider. Got Peterson to chase it. This is where it gets touchy. He's ahead 0-2. You'd probably like to do that again. Now you have to have confidence in your catcher. Talise showed him a little of that on that last play.
Morris has been the most consistent reliever the Marlins have had over the last 3 weeks. Carter Capps experiencing a couple of rough patches and then the elbow injury. 0-2.
There it is. He buries it. A little backhand pick by Talise.
A.J. Ramos, of course, has had his struggles of late at the back of the pen. But Morris kind of regained the form he had last year. Remember, he missed 21 games, almost all of June, with a lower back strain. Tried to come in and get a strike on the inside part. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, he tried a few sliders. That time he went in with a good fastball.
Those numbers.
See if he goes back to that slider now. Bit tremendous, July and August. You're right.
Got a runner at third here. 2-2.
Left that one up a little bit, but got away with it. You know, and you think about it too, Rich, with all the changes. Here's Tomas Talise going out chatting with a guy that, you know, they haven't worked together in situations, different situations. So just trying to make sure what his pitcher wants to go with here.
Two. Three-two. Bouncer to second. Gordon looks the runner back, gets the out at first. Castro is still 90 feet away. An enormous out to get for Brian Morris.
A little surprised he wasn't going on contact. Bull Porter, third base coach for the Braves, chatting with Castro right now. But a lot of times with one out in this situation, the runner's going to go ahead and force the defense to make a good throw to the plate. But Castro held his ground at third.
Perez has had a busy night. A sacrifice, hit by a pitch, a single, stolen base. A lot of guys who started the year in AAA for the Braves in their lineup tonight. Liner to left, and it's in there for a hit. And Atlanta has a 9-8 lead. Dietrich made a dive. He did catch it on a hop. And the throwing error by Morris, rather important here in the bottom of the 8th.
A little bit off the end of the bat, and that's why this ball sank. Great effort by Dietrich to be able to at least knock it down and catch it, but unfortunately not in the air.
Now Markakis with Perez at first. Remember, Perez stole a bag in the 6th inning. He bluffs, and the pitch is out. We really haven't seen a whole lot of Tomas Talise behind the plate to know catch, throw, what to expect. Talise has had big league time with Texas. And Perez chased back. A little closer.
Yeah, that one's a lot closer.
Ball and a strike. This was a Jose Urena start. It did not go well. He gave up 5 runs in 2 innings. Adam Conley, 3 innings. He gave up 3 runs. Ryan Ellington, 2 scoreless innings. Seven o'clock for Marlins Live tomorrow. 7:30 start. Jose Fernandez, Julio Teheran. Tapper out toward short. Echeverria gets to the bag and gets the out. The Braves are back on top. It's 9-8 to the 9th. Braves was in Miami. It was early last year, and he was outstanding. Remember this play, the pump fake? Here we go, 8 innings, strikeout 8, give up just 2 hits. Beat the Braves that night on 98 pitches. He pitches tomorrow night here in Atlanta. Rand Eye Vision Cam reminding you what Jose Fernandez versus the Braves looked like last year. That's tomorrow night. Tonight, the Marlins are a run shy in the 9th. In what has been a night filled with runs and hits and sacrifice flies and sacrifice bunts and hits and runs and stolen bases. A home run. That was Derek Dietrich's. Aroldis Vizcaíno.
Yeah, very interesting. A couple of years, 2012, 2013. Vizcaíno did not pitch, had Tommy John surgery, recovering from that. You look at his career in the minor leagues, 2 career saves. He's never had a save at the big league level. So we talked about Jason Grilli out for the year, Jim Johnson involved in a trade to the Dodgers. So right now, Freddie Gonzalez just kind of mixing and matching out of that bullpen.
Martin Prado, Ichiro, and Adeiny Echeverria. Andrew McKirahan, who gave up the 3 runs, is in line for the win, ironically. Fastball let her high for a strike. Prado's driven in 3 runs in 3 separate plate appearances, 2 sacrifice flies and an RBI single. Fastball in. We talked about JT Realmuto and the sore hand. If you're thinking further down in the inning, Tomas Talis is actually due up 4th, McGee 5th, if it gets that far. Ichiro on deck. Prado a chopper to third. Garcia across the diamond. And there's 1 out in the 9th. MLB.TV Premium, #1 live streaming sports service. Every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand in true HD. Real-time highlights, live look-in. And Tommy Hutton's favorite, the pitch tracking widget is back. And a free at Bat 15 subscription. MLB.TV. Ichiro's walked twice, singled, and bounced out on a night where the Braves and Marlins have a combined 17 runs and 24 hits.
Frustrating part for the Marlins, should this lead hold up. The tough loss last night, scoring 6 runs and losing, and the possibility of scoring 8 runs here tonight and not picking up a win.
And that's significant because the Marlins are averaging 3.5 runs a game, which is last in Major League Baseball. But we saw earlier they have company in the East. The Mets, the Phillies, the Braves also are in the bottom 5 in the National League. One and two. Ichiro, soft serve into left. And his second hit of the ballgame. He's been on base 4 times tonight.
That is Ichiro to perfection right there. Pretty good pitch. Looks like he's bailing. Looks like he's left the batter's box a little half swing and drops it into left field. How many of the 2,907 now have been of that variety? Quite a few.
Well, an important hit, obviously, with the ball club down a run in the 9th. Ichiro can steal a bag. Echeverria's up now. And then it's Talis. Boy, Vizcaíno all of a sudden is just dialing up 99.
And in the upper part of the strike zone, too.
0-2. Echeverria bunt hit in the 8th. Fouls it back. Remember, Echeverria against the Cincinnati Reds, Aroldis Chapman threw a pitch 103 miles an hour, and Echeverria lined it to right, and at the time, and I suspect it still holds, research showed that it was the fastest pitch ever put in play for a base hit since they've been recording pitches.
I'll tell you what, he's had some good swings at the last two 99s. You kind of figured Vizcaíno would show him something else.
And that was something else, and it wasn't a strike. So we'll see if it's back up to 99. You see Talise, the switch hitting catcher, on deck. In the dirt, Ichiro's going to go for it, and he gets there. Pierzynski blocked it, but it bounced out far enough where Ichiro, with a good jump, makes it to second.
Boy, that's good instincts just to pick that up from the angle Ichiro has, to see that it's far enough away from Pierzynski that he'd be able to get to second base. Good job.
As well, nice
good base running tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and a nice take by Echeverria because Vizcaíno doubled up on the changeup.
Now you got to think he'll go back to that fastball.
And a base hit here could tie it in the 9th. Edge to right. Markakis is there, makes the catch.
Well, he went back with the fastball. Echeverria had a good swing, unfortunately, right to Markakis.
Tomas Talise. Talise in his AAA run with both Round Rock and New Orleans, just a few games with New Orleans. 5 homers, drove in 26, was hitting at 292, and his splits were pretty much even. From the left side, 3 homers, drove in 17, hit 283. From the right side, 308, 2 homers. And it's down to his at bat on a wild night of offense with the Marlins a run shy, 2 outs. Outfield towards left center. No swing.
Vizcaíno's gone back to that fastball. The first 2 pitches to Talise.
Talise out of Venezuela. A converted shortstop. Got to the big leagues last year. And it's out. We got Casey McGee on deck. The count's 3-1 to Talise.
Casey had a base hit coming into the game as a pinch hitter back in the 8th inning.
Ichiro's at second, 2 outs. Aroldis Vizcaíno. Talise, a bouncer in the hole at short. Castro's throw in time. And the Braves hang on and win a wild one. Lots of offense from both teams. But the Braves a run better. And Atlanta gets the first of this 4-game set. 9-8 the final on a rainy night in Georgia. Marlins baseball brought to you by your South Florida Honda dealers. By Kubota. For more information or to find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com. By Hialeah Park Racing and Casino. For more information on our 2-year anniversary on August 14th and 15th, go to HialeahParkCasino.com.